that's the perfect example of the preacher.
That's not every preacher. That's just the one that's funny on TV that most people can relate to because they've seen them before.
Oh man, that shit is funny.
I'm walking around with an offering plate. Hey, brother.
How you doing, brothers and sisters? Yeah,
I'm talking about I'm gonna get the offering plate with the little cloth in the bottom of it. You know what the fuck?
That red cloth. So you got the gold thing on the outside and that red cloth on the inside. Yeah, I'm with you. Hell yeah. And you need to have some communion plates passing around. Little grape juice and them crackers.
There you go. Yeah,
I'm just gonna be saying what we go.
And then you buy people shots all night and you say, get your communion. Come on, get your communion.
There it is.
I'm buying shots unless they put money in the offering plate. That's what I'm doing.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Just go ahead and get them started off. You know, you just drop a couple blue faces in there.
So I want to ask though real quick. So you made that comment though, and you said that I should be because I should do that family thing and should get dressed up and do all that for Halloween. I'm gonna ask both of y'all a question. Should men sacrifice their happiness for their families? I mean, because again, like I say, that's a real.
I told you I met a guy in Luxembourg, and I told you what he told me.
What'd he say, Rue?
He said, "Look here, man." He said, "I had a good job. I was a banker. I had a wife, kids." He said, "Man, I just didn't want to do that shit no more." Like, he said, I was miserable. I was fucking miserable. He said, "Then I just told my wife I left. I still take care of everything, but I just couldn't do it. You know, I had a little motherfucker be in the yard doing yoga, smoking joints and shit." That's how I met her because I needed a lighter. I'm like, bro, I see you be smoking, bro. I just need a lighter, bro. Yeah. He went there, rolled him up a joint. We in there smoking, and that's when he told me what was going on. He was like, bro, I couldn't do it no more.
That's all y'all did enough.
It was outside, man. I'm not that type of nigga, AC. So why do you always go sexual? I'm not that type of nigga.
So I'm saying though, but so you say you feel like it shouldn't be no sacrifices just for the family.
Why I gotta suffer to make y'all happy? Well, first of all, I ain't gonna make y'all if I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. But damn, like why I can't be happy? Mm-hmm. Why I gotta be miserable?
I think men have to make sacrifices for their family? Yeah, I think everybody has to make sacrifices for their family. With any relationship, there has to be some compromise. You have to be willing to put some of your stuff to the side, that other person put their stuff to the side, and y'all come together. Mm-hmm. What I think the problem is in a lot of relationships, and I can speak to this personally, there is a lack of alignment inside the relationship. So then it creates misery in the relationship. And then people are like, I got to do this for the family to keep the family together and all of that stuff. So if you create your family on not the most solid foundation with a lack of alignment, then yeah, you're going to be miserable trying to keep the family together. But if you actually are building and pulling in the same direction as your partner, yeah, you can't do everything you want to do, and yet you have to sacrifice things, but it's okay sacrifice them for the bigger good. You know what I mean? Like niggas sacrifice free time in their summer to go to two-a-days back in the day, right? Because you want to be good at football. You didn't really want to be at practice in the hot sun, but you wanted something else. You wanted what came from that. Right. So the same thing has to work with the family. And if that alignment's not there, I'll say this. Hey, y'all two don't need to be miserable in that house because that's bad for everybody. It ain't good for you. It ain't good for your partner. It ain't good for the kid. So all in all, no. I mean, yeah, you got to make sacrifices, but both sides got to make sacrifices and be willing to truly sacrifice for one another and not just be thinking about themselves.
Got you. So that's
I didn't do that, by the way. Like anybody who hears this and thinks that I'm like, I didn't make all them sacrifices. That speaks back to alignment, though. You know what I mean?
Right. So I mean, that's why I say, and even going back to listen to that, I was trying to see is a bunch of my buddies. I asked this question all this week actually, and a bunch of my buddies they agree with what Rue said for real. Like me personally, I kind of agree with what you said, Lee, because I've always been kind of like taught that you got to make sacrifice for your family for this shit to work. You know what I'm saying? It's times when you want to be outside that you can't because you got to do X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? But if I didn't make that sacrifice, I can be outside wide open, getting home when I want to, making the moves I want to, vice versa. You feel me? So, but then coming back, listening to some of the buddies, when they come back and they make the same comment, they like, why the fuck do I gotta be unhappy for my family. Like if I'm already paying all the bills, if I'm already sacrificing my time, I'm already getting up at 5 a.m. to go to work to make sure my family got X, Y, and Z. Why do I have to keep sacrificing? You get what I'm saying? So that's why I said that, like, it was a slippery slope with me on that question, because I personally, when I hear other people say that they wouldn't make the sacrifices, I kind of agree with them. But then again, when I go back and I look at my story and I see how I move, I know for sure I've made sacrifices for the family, for my family, for my you know what I'm saying? So it's just it's a little different on that. But that's why I want to ask y'all that.
I think it all boils down to like where you're at, where you want to be, and again, you and your partner, dog, because you don't have to be miserable just because you make sacrifices. Right. You know what I mean? You're making the sacrifice that you want to make. You just have to be okay doing what you're doing and good with the bigger picture. As long as it's as long as the big picture is good, yeah, but don't get it twisted. I understand why.
What's the big picture?
It depends on who you are. Like if your big picture is I want to be in a marriage with this person and keep my family locked in the same house and we're working together. If that's the bigger picture, then you have to be willing to make certain sacrifices along with your partner as you're doing that. But like, if that's not the ultimate goal, like I know for me that my end all be all wasn't necessarily to death do us part. And moving forward, if I get married again, like that's not going to be in my vows because that's not necessarily what I'm on. Right. And it's no knock on any woman, no knock on my wife. It's just like, yo, I want to build a family, but I want to be happy in my family. Right. And if I'm not happy in my family, I'm not going to die miserable. Because men die, 6 years before women? You saw that same Carlos shit, right? Yes, men die 6 years before women because a lot of times men are miserable. And the reason why niggas really be miserable is because you can't talk. You can't express yourself. You can't be you without having to deal with this. So you suppress so much of you to make this other person happy and comfortable that you begin to lose yourself. And then you look up one day and you're not happy with who you are.
Yeah, and why I gotta be with somebody that I gotta act like that is my point.
You shouldn't.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the point.
That's a good point.
But ideally, you don't build a family with that person to then have to make that decision. You just break up before the family piece happens.
So, I mean, so you say you still keep her around until you start. It's not one of the ones you try to make families out of. It's just one of those ones you try to just hang and kick on, right?
No, I'm just saying, like, if you're with somebody and you're making all these sacrifices and stuff, and like my uncle told me, it don't get better. When you start off, if you starting off right here as opposed to up here, when you add kids, getting to know each other even more, living together, bills, just stress and all of that stuff.
Yeah, what does starting off right here mean?
Say if this is the peak, right? If when y'all just start being together, you're in the honeymoon stage and you're like y'all arguing over dumb stuff, you starting to see where y'all don't necessarily get along on certain stuff. Y'all's lives aren't really aligned. Y'all aren't into a lot of the same things, or they're not okay with certain parts of your lifestyle. You're not okay with certain parts of their lifestyle. That's early on with no stresses. Ain't nobody messed up in a relationship, no real arguments and stuff. If you already having like these little problems, they're just going to get bigger as you throw more dynamics into the relationship.
That's kind of factual, because then when I go back and making an example off what you just said, that kind of make me think of like all the relationships I had during COVID. Like, not saying nothing wrong, but it's like when you stuck in that house and you kind of like force to be with a particular person, not saying this, whatever, but it's like if you got all these different people that you force to actually have to meet because you don't want to go, and you can't go to the clubs, you can't go out to the movie, you got to actually know and sit and talk to this person for damn near 2 years, a year, however long. Y'all feel like y'all know, y'all feel like y'all get a connection, y'all feel like y'all are really starting to become that bond until the world open back up, and then now you get back outside and you start seeing.
Are you telling my relationship story right now, man?
No, I'm actually telling how a lot of my old shits.
How the hell did you end up with that conclusion?
No, because I get what he's saying. Because listen, Rue, is because again, bro, is a bunch of
that ain't the only time something happened. You ain't the only nigga that did that.
Chill, Rue.